I know this is going to sound crazy, but we noticed that our sound wasn't coming in, and it's because it was on our fault. We had the sound turned down. So we're going to redo this show again because we want to make sure that we get this right. So I'm going to start out. I got the guys with me. I have Andy and I have Rob. Say
We're
hi,
back.
guys. Yeah, we're back. And I believe you can hear us now. Say something, Rob.
Hey, world. How's it going?
There we go. We're good. We're good. So listen, the first thing I want to touch on is what we were touching on a little earlier, and you didn't hear us, and it's about the economist and founder of shadowstats.com, Mr. John Williams. And John Williams actually is saying that the government's phony numbers, and we all agree with this, that the phony numbers do not show the public really how bad things are out there, you guys. And he says he actually prides himself in giving you the actual economic numbers without all these accounting gimmicks. And he said that makes things look better than they actually are. So again, it's what we were calling like gaslighting, right? You were mentioning that earlier.
That's right. They're gaslighting America.
Yeah, this is not gaslighting. These are the actual numbers. And for example, I'll give you an example. The latest official government number on inflation shows 8.3%. Actually, it's officially a 40-year high, and it gets worse when you strip away all of the so-called accounting gimmicks. And the actual number shows like I said, 8.3%. But when you strip away everything, the real number that's burdening real people in the real world, John explains, is his number shows a 17.3% peak in June, and right now it's at about 16.5%. And that is at a 75-year high. And he says, I think you will find people are having a more difficult time than they were having 40 years ago. What's you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, he's 100% correct. I mean, they've manipulated the CPI numbers since what, 1982, correct?
82, they changed the way that they report numbers.
Got it. Next, speaking of Mike, there you go.
Yeah, they also took out food and energy because nobody uses food and energy, right? Why should that be part of the equation? So we know that the food and energy are pretty much two major costs other than housing that people have. So the numbers are skewed. We know they're much higher. I remember from yesterday I told the story of just a small little anecdote, but very telling of how at the car wash I go to, self-serve car wash, price went up from $7 to $10.
So $3.
Yeah, that's a 40.
How long ago? How long ago were you there before you noticed that?
I hadn't been for a couple of months, so I think this was probably 6 months ago.
Yeah, I got some information I want to share with.
Yeah, about 6 months ago, and Rob had talked about his apartment where he used to a condo where he used to live, the price going up 60%. So we're seeing these things left and right. When I went to lease my car, my lease was out for my car. Same car, same model. I asked about starting a new lease. 80% higher.
Wow.
80%.
Wow. On the employment front, on the employment side, he says that the government is toting a 3.5% unemployment rate. And he says, what are the real numbers when you count all the unemployed people, no matter how long they've been looking for work, is what they ask him. And Williams says, well, the unemployment numbers are frightening. He says, I think we are seeing what I consider a phony number of 3.5%. After a year, the discouraged worker disappears as an issue. And the unemployment number is really 24.4%, the way that it used to be counted by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, he says. And he goes on, William is telling in this interview, because they're interviewing him, Williams says he's not expecting for things to get better anytime soon. I wouldn't share this with you if I didn't believe in it, and I totally believe in it. I've been preaching this now for years, that things like this are coming. And I used to be called a conspiracy theorist. I used to be called all these sort of things. And, now it's like the proof is in the pudding. You're actually seeing it, and you're going to see even more. What do you got to say, Rob?
Well, you just have to look at it. I mean, what he's saying is right now, I mean, people have to open up their ears to this. He's saying that the unemployment rate is about 8 times greater than what they're actually telling.
Yeah.
And what he's telling us about the CPI numbers is that it's about double from what the Federal Reserve is sharing with us, making us aware of, right?
Right.
Big difference.
Well, he goes on. He says, if you listen to what Jerome Powell, he calls him Fed head, Fed head Jay Powell said at his last press conference, he said he's looking to create a recession.
That's right.
In other words, and I remember I've been saying this for a long time, that many governments, including the United States, not only they create inflation. Well, inflation runs into recession. And
they create the recession.
Right. They have to. So in order for them to manufacture the inflation, what that does is that's a key factor for them to help them to depreciate our debt and go ahead and destroy the value of our dollar. And they do it through a thing called hyperinflation. Well, this is exactly what they've done. They're creating this recession. And that's effectively what he's saying, that they're doing it. And I think he says you have a higher inflation ahead. And I would try, he said, to get my cash into assets that adjust for inflation, such as gold and silver. And then he said something that really resonated at home with me. And he said, you also need to get something that has a long shelf life. And what he's talking about here is he says you're going to see the economy getting worse. You're going to see the economy getting worse and inflation getting worse. And I don't see the Fed cutting back on the money supply, and that they're already telling you that you're going to keep raising the interest rate. He said, good buys are things that will spike with inflation. So he said, stock up on canned food. And he said, I think you're going to see a few more percentage points on the government numbers coming up, and that can, and I think will, happen as things deteriorate. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Did he say what type of canned food?
Just get canned. No, he just said stock up. I know.
No, I agree. We need hard assets at this time. We know the government has been printing for so long, that inflation now at the record highs, the value, the currency being debased. So where do you go? What has value? Of course, food has value. Clothes have value. Gold and silver have value because they've been stores of wealth for 5,000 years. They're always going to be tradable. The only money,
always can exchange for more value later on. That's for sure.
Mentioned in the Bible and in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Very telling.
Been around since the biblical days. I tell people that all the time. I tell my clients, I tell new clients that all the time. There's some other interesting news that came out that was by the Wall Street Journal this morning, and it touches on inflation. And I want to share this with you all. And it says, while the Fed sit around and rearrange numbers, which is what John Williams is talking about. Now, this is the Wall Street Journal stating this. Said, while the Fed sits around and rearranges numbers, fudges numbers, equations and definitions try and couch what is obviously an ugly inflationary picture for the country. And at least one company is giving it to people straight. Y'all know who that company might be? Have any idea?
It's got to be a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, of course. It's one that everyone consumes every day, and it's called PepsiCo.
No, some people.
Well, some people. I haven't had a cola in so long.
I know.
But anyway, I can't even I can remember how I used to drink that bubble, the carbonation. Man, I remember those days.
Nothing but sugar in a can.
Yeah, sugar in a can.
Sugar and phosphorus.
Take your brain on a journey, that's for sure. Sugar high. Well, anyway, this company reported earnings this morning, posting a 9% rise in its quarterly 30 sales and offering up increased guidance as it keeps raising prices on both snacks and its flagship beverages. That's like the Cheetos and the Doritos and
That's all Pepsi.
the potato chips,
they own all
PepsiCo. Oh yeah, I think they do. I think so. They own all them.
They own Frito-Lay.
Frito-Lay, all them things. Well, listen to this. The 12% increase it expects from full year organic revenue came as a report from the Washington Journal or the Wall Street Journal this morning. And it comes at the hands of average prices rising an astonishing 17% from the year prior. So I guess your colas and your chips and all that, they're 17% increase. That's huge.
I don't think it's going to stop a lot of people who are addicted to that garbage.
That's what. Well, inflation is here to stay.
Absolutely.
That's
Not going anywhere.
That's the main thing. That's what is your guys? We talk about inflation all the time, but I mean, what's your thoughts on inflation?
Honestly, I feel that inflation is going to consume and erode America's life savings, their retirement savings, the independent wealth that they've created for themselves, their listeners, right? It's going to be eroded, being eroded. It's going to be decimated, destroyed, right? And this is exactly what governments globally are looking for. They're looking for a slave nation. They're looking for individuals who are going to rely on the government. They're looking for individuals that will no longer have independent wealth aside from the government to live as they want, to live as they please, to enjoy their life. They want to keep us on a very low vibrational setting. They really just want to go ahead and have massive control, right? And what is the best way to do that?
I think you're reading my mind. You got to get into precious metals.
The only way to avoid that is to get into precious metals.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. It's a store of wealth. You can always exchange it for more value later on.
Right.
And let's face it, when the market goes down, and what they're talking about now is another 20 to 30% drop in the market, maybe more, who knows? I don't know. All I know is this, is that yesterday you had Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, a lot of other people coming out and talking.
The
IMF. The IMF just said the worst is yet to come, and that 2023 is going to feel like a recession. And my question is, well, like 2022 didn't sound like a recession? I mean, come on, man. Things are expensive. According to Jean Paris, whatever her name is, Catherine Jean Paris, whatever. Is she French?
I don't know what she is.
I know she colors her eyelids to match her shoes and her clothes every day. I noticed that. But anyway, she was trying to hypnotize everybody out there yesterday and tell them that everything is chocolates and roses right now and that the economy is doing really well, that Biden's doing a great job. And I got to tell you, all you got to do to prove them wrong is just look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. And, it's interesting that the IMF is talking about 2023 because yesterday everyone came out and was saying in 6 to 9 months that 2023 is going to look really, really bad. Well, I'm sure a lot of us, we've already felt that 2022 was pretty bad for us as well. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, even the stock market, 2022 was one of your worst years ever.
Wait, well, let me ask you a question. The dollar has been rallying so high. And the IMF right now, they're all in Washington, D.C. at their IMF meetings, the World Bank and IMF meetings. And then the feds are there. And again, tomorrow the feds are going to announce the new inflation numbers. And, we're going to know they're up. And if they say they're down, we know they're lying. But that interesting thing is this strong dollar is now raising a lot of interest over, what's going on, because if you look at the euro, for instance, the euro is below the dollar. I don't know what it is at now, right now, but yesterday it was at like 98 cents below the dollar. Well, goods cost more money in Europe, right? A TV, like we have, say, a regular Samsung TV here in the United States, in the UK, it's going to be 50% more. So their dollar is worth less Their inflation numbers are out of the roof. I wonder if they're telling. I don't even know what the inflation numbers are over there right now. Well, you got something to say?
Yeah, I just want to quote the CIO to J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Janet Yellen. Just listen, right? The CIO at J.P. Morgan Asset Management is warning that a strong dollar could spark a crisis in the derivatives market. Morgan Stanley says,
yeah.
Morgan Stanley is warning they're warning a dollar surge tends to end in a crisis.
That's right. No, that's what I've been saying. Listen, the United States uses our dollar as a weapon. That's what they do.
This is a wild time that we're living in.
Bargain. It's more powerful than a you name it, a missile, a ship.
Do you think this was pre-orchestrated?
I don't want to go in and say it's pre-orchestrated. I just can tell you that things are happening, right? I got to be careful what I say out there because I am on a channel that, there's a lot of people out there watching, and I don't want us to get taken down. I want to get out as much as I can without being taken down. And again, I want to apologize yesterday. I know my video got taken down yesterday because we were showing, what was it, the day before?
A couple of days ago.
Yeah, we were showing violence, and we can talk about it, I guess, but you just can't show it. You can't show windows getting broken and people, going after patrons at a Hooters restaurant.
Hey, I mean,
crazy.
It's a bad look for BLM. That's what it is. Because those people who listen, the video itself shows BLM members kneeling on the ground in front of the Hooters, right?
Yeah.
Dealing with, what a chocolate bar, and I mean it's just a bad look on the whole narrative they have pushing right now. But I get it. YouTube gives us the ability to go ahead and speak our mind, and we got to respect that.
We have a lot of that. There's anarchy on the street, that's for sure. And if things get really, really bad, and I'll tell you what, this election that's coming up in just a couple more weeks. My fear is that if it doesn't turn out the way some people want it to turn out, that there's going to be a lot more anarchy on the street. What do you think about that, Andy? I know you're very vocal on that.
Yeah, I agree with your analysis, Alan. I think that the left, if they don't get the outcome that they desire, I think they will send out. But you gotta understand something, that the left uses these groups like BLM to further their agenda. They're really just pawns for the Democratic Party and the leftist agenda they're trying to push, which is to make you a slave, like Rob said, to take away your independent wealth, take away your freedom, your liberty, and they of course they'll complain the election was stolen and all of this and shenanigans. So all I
can say to that, Andy, is that just vote. Your vote ain't going to count if you don't vote.
Hey, listen, I got to be honest with our listeners right now. Yeah, voting's good, right? Hey, listen, I have a different perspective, which we can all understand, right? We have our own perspectives, but where the country is at right now, where the market is at right now, where the economy is at right now, it doesn't matter if there is a Democrat in office or a Republican in office, because guess what? Massive banks, some of the three largest banks, UBS Bank, Credit Suisse, as well as Deutsche Bank, they're on the brink of collapse right now. The dollar is going parabolic. Risk assets are
the
capitulating.
dollar is rallying so high. Listen to this, Robert. This is why this is going on. In fact, the Treasury, Janet Yellen, right, which I don't think she should be our treasurer. I just don't agree with this woman when they say things are going to be transitory and that's just a little bad. I don't know if they're just saying that not to scare people. I don't know what the deal is, but
could you imagine her running anything?
No. I can't understand why she's even there. No, I know why she's there, because she helped them print a bunch of money when Obama and Biden were. No, Obama and Biden. So let me share something with you. The Treasury and the Federal Reserve officials right now say that they're going to stick to their guns in the battle against inflation, despite this barrage of international voices that are literally cautioning against the risk of a global recession. So if monetary tightening in the advanced economies continues over the coming year, a global recession is more likely to happen, is what they're saying. And the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, they wrote a sharply worded report that was released last week, and it was almost unavoidably harm potential growth rate in the developing economy. So the dollar, our U.S. currency, is really hurting these other countries really, really bad. And let me tell you something. I've been talking about this for a long time. These countries haven't been standing still, and they're not standing still. They're already implementing and have envisioned a new digital currency. And this is why Executive Order 14067 clearly states in it that in order for the United States dollar to remain, listen to this, the dominant currency, that they have to strike a digital currency in order to remain the dominant currency. But here's my thoughts.
This was the UN?
No, this is what's in the order of
1406. Oh, Section 4 of 1406.
It clearly states that in order for them to remain.
Yeah.
So that being said,
right,
this is why you're hearing a lot about digital currency. And remember, according to this executive order that Biden signed in March, it goes in effect sometime in December.
See, what a lot of listeners don't understand is that this is the foundational building blocks of CBDC. This is Americans at war right now with deep state globalists. This is basically a choice between slavery or freedom. Listen, how would you like for all your transactions to be tracked on a blockchain, on an open ledger, right? How would you like your financial transactions to either, one, be fulfilled or be restricted because the creator of the CBDC is not letting you transact freely, right? Who's to say that $10,000 in a bank today, being in a programmable digital currency a year down the road, is considered worthless, useless, because it's expired? I mean, this is an issue, man. I mean, cryptocurrency started off as a libertarian desire, right? But with the centralized government man-made currency, it's the demise of any economy, right? Any country. It's unbelievable.
I've always said I've always said this number, and I've said this on. By the way, I was on Clyde Lewis' show last night, and those of you that are listening to me now from Clyde Lewis, forgive me. I'm learning how to be in front of a camera. I've always just been using the voice. So being in front of a camera is a little intimidating to me, but I'm getting better at it, I think, and I will get better at it. But, you know, you've heard me say on the show many a times that if digital air can be worth thousands of dollars, then what can something real become worth? And I've been hearing that they're talking about taxing this digital currency like Bitcoin, things like these, 28 to even 38%. I've been hearing things on the sideline. So, you know, I've always said another thing that, look, do you really think that the government is going to allow another form of a digital currency to compete with central bank digital currency? And let me tell you something. The broadest form of government digital currency is the central banks, like the Federal Reserve, offering deposit accounts to the public at large. So individuals like you and me and our businesses, our corporations, our nonprofit organizations, we all will have these deposit accounts with the Federal Reserve instead of with private banks. So now all of our transactions, and think about this, you guys, why in the heck do they have 87,000 something IRS agents on the sideline being ready to be brought into the field? Well, it's because, think about it. If I gave you a $100 bill right now, they don't know I give you that $100 bill. They don't know where I got it from. They don't know who I gave it to. But if I pay you in any form of a digital currency, now not only do they know I gave it to you, but they know where I got it from. And this is a tax authority's dream, and that's traced all the way down. And to me, that is a totalitarian regime. We lose control. And now I even saw, I was mentioning it on Clyde's show last night, that they even have now a digital face reader that they've launched in
For transactions. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So now what they can do is they can actually, you can just get on there, download the app, and you can pay your bills by showing your face. Crazy.
Ridiculous.
Everything, it's funny, everything that we watch like on Star Wars, you know what I mean? It's all coming true. It's like, Steven Spielberg, all those guys, they knew something we didn't know. Maybe they were dreaming this. It's just crazy how.
Well, Alan, HSBC Bank, they have this new campaign that they're running. I think it's their new slogan, maybe.
HSB Hong Kong.
What's that?
HSB from Hong Kong.
HSB Bank.
Yeah.
HSBC Bank, rather.
Yeah, that's Hong Kong. They're out of Hong Kong.
Okay, so that institution, their new slogan, their new campaign is "Your DNA is your bank account."
Oh my God!
And it's
you just gave me chills.
It's a finger with like a little DNA tracker.
My God! You just almost shocked me to the core right there on that one. Holy moly!
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at what China's doing right now. 70 million individuals right now are already using hands-on experience with central bank digital currency. Right, 80% of central banks globally have already test piloted hands-on transactions with a form of central bank digital currency.
Yeah.
80% of central banks globally. Come on now.
Yeah. No, I just stay away. Like I said, if digital air can be worth thousands of dollars, then what can something real become worth when it becomes worth?
Well, I mean, hey, you remember
really
back in 2017 where you and I and Andy were reading white papers from the Bank of International Settlement on central bank digital currency?
For sure.
In 2016, we were reading this.
Let me shift the paradigm here for a minute. Let me shift something here. Do you guys think that the feds are pretending to fight inflation?
Well,
because to me, inflation is the key to all of this. I mean,
they have to act like there's something which they created. The Fed's very similar to the old mafia, where they start a fire, in your neighborhood, and they tell you, hey, you need us to protect you so there won't be another fire.
Yeah.
So they really act like that.
See, a lot of people think that the Fed is actually like part of the government, but they're really a private. That's why they have their presidents and they have all that, right? They're a private corporation.
Yeah. You can read.
There's nothing government about them.
Tell them where you can read it.
You can read all about the creation of the Fed in the book, The Creation, The Creature of Jekyll Island.
There you go. That's what I wanted to share.
The Creature of Jekyll Island, right?
Yeah.
And it is a private organization, and
hey, I'll tell you what. If you guys call and you want to set up an IRA, I will happily get you a copy of The Creature from Jekyll and Hyde. I will get you a copy of it.
Jekyll Island.
Jekyll Island.
The Creature from Jekyll Island. Yeah, by Edward Griffin. Yeah, no worries.
Sometimes my words don't come out right.
It's all good.
Like I said, I'm not used to being in front of a camera. But give us a call. You can call me at 323-380-5485. I'll give you my trading number again. It's 323-380-5485 or 800-753-8534. Hey, I want to share something with you. We have right now so much record debt, and we have this debt in every single sector, right? And now the Feds say possibly that they're going to take away all of that free money. And the Fed is going to maybe normalize the interest rates.
That's it.
Well, everything that was built on that foundation is going to actually implode. And we're going to have a financial crisis that would make 2008 look like a walk in the park, like a Sunday school picnic. And there will be no bailout if the Fed is fighting inflation. And it would be another great recession. It would be more like a greater depression. And this is why, folks, the Feds can't do anything. This is why I think they're pretending. Because they can't do anything. They can't do what Paul Volcker did and raise the interest rates up to 20%. And our economy, no matter which way we look, or no matter what the Fed does, is going to tank. And I've been saying this now that we're going to see in the job market, we're going to see massive layoffs coming. And it's going to look like it's COVID except without COVID. And instead of the government shutting our economy down, the economy is actually going to shut itself down. And not because it's been actually ordered to, but because now all of that cheap money is gone. And then Powell, what is it? Stats call him, John Williams calls him Fed Head Powell. So Fed Head Powell is going to have to reverse course. And when he does reverse this course, that's when we're going to see our bottom drop out of the dollar. And when that happens, that's when you're going to see our precious metals like gold and silver and all the other precious metals going through the roof. And this is why you want to be fully positioned in your portfolio when this happens. Because I was telling a guy earlier, Roger, if you're listening, this is most likely going to happen while we're asleep because the dollar is going to collapse over in Asia. And that's where our biggest creditors are. And that's where the mass exodus is going to begin. And this is why it's so so important for you to start stocking up on, like John Williams said, canned foods. And I say toiletries, spare parts, you name it, equipment, anything else that you think you can store, because everything is going to go up in price, and who knows, it will never be cheaper, and in the future you might not even be able to get it at that price. We just don't know. Nobody has a crystal ball. What do you got to say, Robert?
Well, I mean, I was going to just say that you're absolutely correct. I mean, just in today, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, the most powerful buyers in treasuries are all bailing out at once. It says more pain for bond investors may be in store at mid-buyer void.
Yeah.
Fed, foreign governments, commercial banks are all stepping back, all out.
And what about all these massive layoffs? Look, you had FedEx 2 weeks ago come out, say they were laying off, clawing back on operations, shutting down some of their local stores.
Every massive business, every multi-billion-dollar organization, business, what are they doing right now? They're laying off.
Well, Warner Brothers, according to the Los Angeles Times, right here in L.A.
I didn't even know that.
Warner Brothers now is rolling layoffs, have come to the television division, and the studio, responsible for the big show, Ted Lasso, Abbott Elementary. There's getting ready to be a massive layoff at Warner Brothers. So exactly what I just was stating, this is really happening right now. Layoffs are happening, and it's going to become more and more and more. So you've got the dollar, you've got inflation, you've got all of these things, and this is why it's so important for all of us to get our houses in order. I mean, I still have more to get in order, and I'm in the industry, but there's still things that I know I need to do to get my house in order. And that's what we're doing here. We're showing you a way out. And there's a way you can get out and keep everything tax deferred if you have a retirement account. And if you have any type of a retirement account and you qualify, you can actually go into what we call a self-directed IRA. Some people will call it a gold IRA, you name it. And then what you're able to do, tax deferred, is be able to move your funds after you liquidate them from your IRA that was involved in the markets, move those funds into a new IRA and back it with actual physical gold and silver. Now you have a real hard asset that you can fall back onto when the market does end up going way down like everybody's predicting. What you got to say?
What are you going to do, right? Are you going to go into bonds? Are you going to go into stocks? Are you going to stay in cash? Are you going to do emerging markets? Like, come on now. The only real answer, because there's obviously a negative to all asset classes right now, but if you look at what the biggest players in the game are currently doing, don't take our opinion, don't take our suggestions. If you look at what the Federal Reserve is doing right now, these are the individuals, the central bankers. These are the individuals that dictate monetary policy. These are the individuals that create the monetary policy. What are they doing? Well, what they're doing is right now is they're stockpiling physical gold at the fastest rate not seen in 35 years. It's very telling what these central bankers are currently doing. Like I say, these are the individuals that dictate and create monetary policy. They're stockpiling physical gold. They're not moving into dollars. They're not moving into bonds. They're not moving into emerging markets. They're not moving into equities. Come on.
Very well said. Very well said.
Yeah.
What do you guys say, Andy?
Yeah, that's a good description of what's going on right now on a macro level. You just need to think about your own situation, and like Alan was saying, the time to really get in is right now, when gold is at a pretty good price relative to
Yeah, it's an excellent price right now because look, we see. You may think I'm crazy, and this is what people said to me about 2 years ago and everything. Now they're like, "You're right, you're right," and I'm like, well,
And you got people sending you gifts and stuff.
yeah, all kind of things. But listen to me. We see silver prices, and you may think I'm nuts, but they're going up to $600 an ounce. Like I said, if digital air can be worth thousands of dollars, then what can something real become worth? Silver is going up. Gold prices will be going up. Once this dollar breaks free and breaks free of the Fed's control, you are going to see precious metals go up. This is why get in on the game now while the prices are low. Listen, you'll hear these clowns out there. I'm not mentioning your names, but you'll hear these clowns out there talking about getting into Ethereum and getting into all these digital currencies that they're going to merge and doing all these things. Look, it's called pump and dump. If I can get 1 million people out there or more to keep putting in money to build it up, me that has the access of it, I'm going to be the one that benefits from it. It's a huge pump and dump scheme, Ponzi scheme. They do it in the stock market. They're doing it in anything that is not a hard asset. That is what they do. And a lot of people fall for that gimmick, and it's just like Amway or any of that with the circles.
Hey, listen, all these people that,
don't get fooled.
Hey, listen, you're just their exit liquidity. That's exactly what you are, is their exit liquidity. Rug pull me, daddy. That's exactly the joke around the crypto market.
Yeah.
Right? So, the bottom line is this. The ones that are telling you to get in when the market has already ran 300, 400, 500, 1,000%, they're already up 10x on their money, 5x on their money, and they start telling you now the time is to buy, well, they're absolutely incorrect. They're just using you as exit liquidity. I mean, for our listeners, they're not young, so they're not going to understand how to invest in, digital currency assets like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, decentralized finance, ZK rollups, optimistic rollups. Listen, not only am I an alternative investment expert in precious metals, but I'm a crypto expert, right? I have way more knowledge.
You are pretty good at that. I've been watching, but I don't.
The bottom line is this. At our listeners' age, and even if they're in their 40s or 30s or even 50s, monkey see, monkey do. Do exactly what the central banks do. Right? Do exactly what the world's wealthiest are doing right now.
Monkey see, monkey do.
They're
do exactly what the central banks do. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you don't want to let yourself be.
Just don't lie.
Be clamoring. You don't want to be clamoring to get on the last train out of town, and that's what it's going to be like when people are trying to get into gold and silver, and all this sudden the price is at 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 for gold, and you're thinking, oh God, why didn't I do it? And then you jump in. That's not smart investing. That's called FOMO, fear of missing out.
Hey, listen, you guys can give these guys a call. If you want to speak directly to them or myself, give them a call. You can call them at 800-753-8534. Now, listen, that number that I'm giving you goes to I hate to say it, but they're all Mickey Mouse to me. It goes to a call center. We get so busy in here that our phones are ringing all the time. People just want to talk to us that you don't have time to always answer these calls. So we have a call center that actually accepts the calls. Now, they're not the brightest of people, all right? And we try to train them. We try to teach them, but they're answering these calls from all over the country, and they're getting in hundreds of calls, an hour. They get tons of these calls in. So specifically tell them that you want to speak to either Andy or Robert, and then they'll relay that call immediately back to us, and I promise you Andy or Robert will drop whatever they're doing as long as they can drop it, and they'll get right back to you. And again, we'll get you a copy of the book. If you want a copy of the book, there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be offering a lot of giveaways once we get this all finalized. We'll be we're knocking a wall out behind me that's going to make our studio pretty good size. We'll have sofas in there, couches in there. You'll be able to see all of us at one time rather than going back and forth, back and forth. So we're putting it all together. We're going to have a really cool board that changes the backgrounds on us and everything. But this stuff doesn't happen overnight. It happens in weeks. So we're getting it all together. But listen, I just want to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to the channel, and those of you that fall upon us by accident, and it's like, wow, these guys are really smart and good looking. Just subscribe to the channel. There's no fee to subscribe to the channel, and who knows, you might win a free coin one day. You never know. But we've given away gold bars.
Yeah.
Giving away gold bars. We've done a lot of different things, and we don't ask anything for return. And the other thing I want to share about United Gold Group, we go by UGG, doing business as United Gold Group, is there are a lot of bad actors out there. And in fact, I was talking to a financial advisor this morning who was calling because I'm doing a very large, it's a large amount of funds for a particular individual. And he was just wanting to make sure that, she wasn't being scammed or anything like that. So we had a really good chat, me and this particular FA. And, we were talking. I'm like, look, there's a lot of these companies out there. I won't mention them because even though they'll try to dog us, but I won't mention any names. But they charge like these 60% markups and 100% markups, and it's not right. It's not right. I mean, yeah, you go out and you buy a pair of shoes and there might be 100% or more markup, but that's a pair of shoes. Eventually, if you don't, those shoes are just shoes. We're talking actual real money here. So what we do is we don't have those huge premiums on there. And we help you not only get into metals, but we are a full service. We actually help you get distributions from your metals. In other words, liquidate the portion of whatever you need. If you're old enough and you're 72 years old or older and you need to take RMDs, we assist you in taking those RMDs. Like I said, we're full service, full-fledged, and we also offer a buyback guarantee, which is stated right on our website. And you can go to www.unitedgoldgroup.com, and it'll take you to our site. There's a lot of things on there. There's clips from the shows on there, from different radio shows that I'm on. Plus, there's our YouTube channel on there. Plus, there's daily information on there. There's all kind of information on the IRA, and how to get into it itself. So we're here. We want to help you. We want to show you there's a way out without hurting yourself and without giving everything back in taxes. So give us a call at 800-753-8534 or 323-380-5485. Before I sign off, guys, do you have anything you want to say? God bless every one of you.
Carpe diem. Seize the day.
Carpe diem. And subscribe to the channel. Spread the word. Subscribe our channel because we're going to get really good. We're going to get a lot better. God bless y'all. See you tomorrow.